Daniel and I with the Southeast Texas Young Republicans, and on behalf of the Clear Lake Area Republicans PAC, San Jacinto Republican Club, Houston Republican Liberty Caucus Bay Area, and my club, Southeast Texas Young Republicans. Welcome to the Harris County Chairman interview. We are so glad all of you came out here tonight. And up first, I would like to invite Ms. Angelina Gooden up to do our prayer over the event.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Father, we thank you. We thank you for this opportunity to come and listen with wisdom, ears open, ready to hear. Direct our thoughts to listen so that we can choose wisely when it's time for us to go to the polls. We ask for your divine hand of protection on all of us, Lord God. And we just ask that we stay in your will in this race, God. Let us do what is pleasing in your sight. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen and amen. Amen.
Alrighty, now we have Ms. Molly Flannery to do the pledges.
Alright, we're going to do the United States pledge first.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
And lastly, I am going to thank some of our elected officials that came out to support our event today. We have Councilman Thomas Chauvin, Nancy, I'm sorry, some of the handwriting's a little bit.
Hi, I'm Councilman Thomas Shanebine, District 8 in Pasadena.
From the City of LaPorte City Council, we have Nancy, I'm sorry, I can't read the last name. Ojeda? All right, Councilwoman Nancy Ojeda.
She told me she had to go to another meeting.
Okay.
She left just a few minutes ago.
Well, we appreciate her stopping by. We also have Stone Williams, Precinct Chair 476, Judge Angelina Gooden, Thomas Wayne of Precinct 21, Chris McDonald, SREC, Unit District 6, Scott Bowen, 416 Precinct Chairman, and Tanya Robertson, SREC, Senate District 11. Alrighty, and so now it's my pleasure to have Ms. Tanya come up and introduce our moderator.
Thank you, Ashley. Hey, I met this guy about 8-9 years ago. Okay, I'm not going to be long-winded because we're running a little behind. Our moderator tonight has been phenomenal when it comes to engagement and education in the political process, and when it comes to conservatism. I didn't mean to make you nervous, but you did. So right now, Claver started the RagingElephants.org, and some of you might have seen those billboards a few years ago in Houston. One of them was Martin Luther King was a Republican, and that one got a lot of attention. Love that billboard. Anyway, right now he's the founder and executive director, owner.
Hey man, didn't you used to work with me?
Maybe. Of Raging Elephants Radio, and if you haven't listened to them, you need to. Without further ado, Claver Kamau-Imani.
Thanks, T-Rex.
You look good.
I gave them nicknames, and I gave them the nickname T-Rex. She will smile and while ripping out your rig. So, I want to clearly hear Republicans, San Jacinto Republican Club, Houston Republican Liberty Caucus, and the Southeast Texas Young Republicans for putting this very important discussion, this conversation on. I want to thank them for inviting me to do so. My job tonight is, well, first of all, I want to invite each and every one of you to download the Raging Elephants Radio app. Just go to your App Store or to your Google Play and look for RagingElephantsRadio.com, or you can simply search Texas Politics. The uniqueness of our enterprise is that we focus on Texas politics 24/7. In order for us to get our newsletter, you're more than welcome to text RER to the number 22828. Text RER to 22828, and you'll be on our news blast list. Every question that's asked here tonight is from you. Not a single question was authored or constructed by yours truly. My job is to make sure that these guys don't turn it into, from a candidate's interview into a tap dancing talent show. Make sure they answer your questions. And it's your priorities that they are going to have to address. The format is very simple. The questions were compiled by you as you RSVP'd and you sent questions in, and then the board of organizers decided which questions to pose to the candidates, and they handed them to me this evening. Additionally, some questions may be given from the audience as well as we finish the first selection of questions. The format is easy. The candidates will have 2 minutes each. If you guys flip the coin, who's going first? Rock, scissors, paper, man, because all I got is, because we don't carry cash, all I got is Bitcoin. Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, really? Three? All right, 2 minutes on the openings, and then 3 minutes when a question is posed. 3 minutes for each candidate to answer the question, and then 1 minute for a response. Okay? The main man, Mike Robinson, is going to keep the time. Both the candidates, we can both easily see the time. And with that, good luck and blessings to both of the candidates. Paul Simpson, the incumbent, current chairman of the Harris County Republican Party. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome him. And the challenger, many of you are familiar because of his political activism, Mr. Carmona. Oh, thanks, Tanya, for putting in large font. I appreciate that. Question number 1. Yes, intros, please, Chris.
All right, thank y'all for coming out this evening. Again, my name is Chris Carmona, for those of you who don't know. I've been involved pretty long time in the Republican Party and activism. I'm currently the executive director for the Texas Young Republican Federation. I recently completed my term as the national co-chairman of the Young Republican National Federation. Prior to that, I was the national committee man for 2 terms for the TYRF. Prior to that, I was also involved with Houston Young Republicans, and I even served as your chairman of the outreach committee for the Harris County Republican Party under both Jared Woodfield and for a few weeks or a few months under Paul Simpson as well. So that when I'm not doing anything related to politics, I am a full-time lawyer. But before I became an attorney, I was an operations manager for a couple of well-known corporations in the city, both United or Continental Airlines as well as Landry's Restaurant Corporation. But every role I've had, I've always had an experience to where I was able to use my knowledge, my skill set to improve things through processes I've developed or processes I've implemented. Everywhere I've gone, there's been success that follows behind. And for those who don't know, there's two things that really drive my passion for politics and everything I do, and that's Brooklyn and Madison. Those are my two daughters, and they're not here with me today. But when we think about things we do for the future, it's for our children and my children, but also y'all's children and grandchildren. And the reason I'm hoping to earn your vote tonight, your support tonight, and being the next chairman of the Harris County Republican Party, is we just can't continue to have failure and lackluster results. We've gone 3 consecutive years of not winning throughout the city of Houston, as well as the county. We can't have the same failed message, the same failed branding, the same failed leadership over and over again. It's time to win again, and we can and we will win again in Harris County. But it takes a big vision and a big plan, and hopefully throughout the course of the night, you'll understand what differentiates me from the current administration, and we can provide successful results, and we will win again in Harris County. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Greetings and thank you all. Thanks to the clubs for putting this event on. I very much appreciate the opportunity to address and answer your questions tonight. Just as an intro, I've been involved in the Harris County Republican Party for decades at all levels. I was a precinct chair myself for 20 years. I've come out of the grassroots. I've spent my entire life in the conservative Republican grassroots and will continue to do so. It's my passion. When I became county chair just a little over 3 years ago, by the way, we can correct some of the numbers you just heard. That's not accurate what was going on. In fact, in 2014, my first year, we had the most successful year the Republican Party had ever had in Harris County. We elected more Republicans than ever. The first time the Republican governor voted for 12 years. First time in 10 years we won every race. How did we do this? Well, I inherited a party that was broke, had one office, one employee, and had been shrinking for decades. And I set to work in 3 key areas that we had to focus, and I pledged this 4 years ago when I first won, and that was we had to focus on money, message, and people. Can't do everything at once, so we started particularly with the money and the people, and then work into message. And we've made huge strides in all those areas. Just a few examples. We've gone from a party that was broke. I inherited a pile of bills. We were in the red. To a party we raised over $6 million from a broad base of donors. We used to be 80% funded by our elected officials. Now we're more than 80% by private donors. We've got 5 fully staffed offices year-round around the county. We've recruited almost 300 new precinct chairs with full-time training by folks like Bob Hall and our training development committee here. We created the party's first ever in-house professional communications operation. We just completed our first ever strategic review, laying out a lot of more things that we have to do in the coming years to win in 2018 and beyond. And I'm confident we will win every race in Harris County in 2018. We continue what we're doing. We can't turn back now. If I'm not reelected, we're going to go back to a party that is broke, has one office, one employee, and is controlled by a handful of power brokers. We cannot turn back now. We need to keep making progress and winning going forward. I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now go directly to your questions. And once again, I ask you gentlemen, no skin, please. It is a 2-part question, and it's a fundamental question, the very first one. What do you believe are the duties of the Harris County Republican Party chairman? Do you believe the chairman's job is a full-time job or a part-time job? Mr. Chairman, you go first.
This is a good question. By law, the county chair really has one primary responsibility, and that is to run the primary. I'm now running a second primary. We ran the biggest primary in history in Harris County in 2016. Over 330,000 people voted, and it ran flawlessly. We're continuing that again this year. So that's the number one job. That's kind of basic that the public doesn't even notice we do. The larger thing is to lead the party in all levels. We're a very broad, diverse county. As we all know, we're a big place. I'd like to say we're the 3rd largest county in the country. We're the largest swing county. So we have lots of, the elections here go back and forth over the years. We have a lot of growth we have to capture. So we have to recognize that we have a very broad party made up of a lot of factions and we somehow have to bind those together into a lasting coalition. That's what I've striven for in the 3 years that I've been chair. We've reached out all across the county. We've been growing in new areas across the county, and we need to lead that growth. I mentioned, for instance, 300 new precinct chairs that we got last year. Half of them, 300 in the last 3 years, and half the precinct chairs we got in 2017 were under the age of 40. So we've been expanding our demographics, particularly among young people, tremendously. And if you look at our year-end report, which I have a couple of copies of, it's available online as well, it highlights a lot of things we've accomplished there. And part of this is recognizing that we have a lot of interest, a lot of groups we need. So the key is, number one, what we've got to recognize, our opposition are the Democrats. Our opposition is not each other. And unity is critical. So I get a little tired, frankly, of people spend all their time fighting other Republicans, and when the general election comes down, they sit on their hands. I fight Democrats 24/7 year-round. And that's to answer your question, too, about was it full-time or part-time. I've been lucky. I've been in a large law firm. I have the luxury. My law firm's been very tolerant with me spending essentially full-time in this job for the last 3 years. And I look forward to doing that. I'm not going to do it forever, but it takes an enormous amount of time. So you have to consider that the individual's capability and free time, spare time to be able to do this and devoting an enormous amount of time to the job. It's what it takes. Another thing is to think who your constituencies are. And that's one thing I've learned in this job. We have 3 major constituencies. We have our grassroots activists, we have our elected officials and candidates, and we have the donor community. All 3 of them have different interests. And I might say the least demanding are the donor community. We grassroots activists are the ones who demand the most. So we realize we don't all agree on everything, but it's important that we keep a coalition together, build a strong party with a level playing field so that we can win elections and beat Democrats in Harris County.
Same question to you, Mr. Carmona. What is the duties of the Harris County Republican Party chair, and is it a full-time and part-time job?
Great question. Just to point out a few things, and then we got to make sure, first and foremost, we do have unity within the party. And right now, we don't have that. We still have brokered and fractured components of the party across the spectrum. 3 years ago, when Paul took over, that was one promise that he made and committed to. But we've seen that over the past 3 years. It's a failed commitment. We still have those broken relationships. We have people being excluded by perceived enemies within. We have to have everybody's voice at the table. But as to the responsibilities of the chairman, to me, it's 3 basic things. 1, you have to administer the operation of the party. 2, be the face of the party. And 3, fundraising. And to me, those are the 3 major components of any type of chairmanship of a Republican Party, our main organization. Now, what we've seen over the past few years is we can raise $6 million, but when we get 0 for 40, 50, 60, 70 races, it doesn't matter we raise $6 million. That's called waste. That's ineffective use of the money. One thing I have that he doesn't is a background in lean manufacturing. And when you are able to put systems in place to where you streamline, you cut and eliminate waste, you efficiently use the resources you have, you're able to produce results. That's one thing I plan on bringing to the party. We talked about the precinct chairs. Year over year, though, we're down this year at a lowest point we've had in the last 5 or 6 years. That's not growing the precinct chairs. But I'm glad we have recognized that the young Republicans are stepping up to become leaders of the party. I'd like to take a little bit of credit for that, because under my tutelage, we have had a major and aggressive push to recruit more and more younger precinct chairs, not only in Harris County, but across the state and across the country. And it's something we'll continue to see. As a change in demographics we have in Harris County, we have to make sure the party evolves with those demographics, and that we're representing everybody, not excluding people. Being the face of the party means we go anywhere and everywhere to make sure we're putting our message and our brand out there. We can't be afraid to go to certain places and just think everybody's going to come running to us. One thing you can always say is you can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to show up. And over the last 3 years, we've had a lot of pretending to show up, because no one goes where everybody says, oh, we're going to do outreach and engagement. We don't do that. We have failed attempts, failed missions, and this strategic review, let me tell you about that. I went to the first meeting, and that was the last meeting I went to. Why? Because there was no serious attempt or effort to put any resources into the project. First question out of my mouth was, what's our budget for this? Answer I was given, nothing. We had to spend it on the consultant. He may do some in-kind going forward, but we have no budget. How can we continue to grow this party and understand the true results we need if we can't even put the resources into the party to get results? talking to the echo chamber over and over again is going to get what we got in 2016. And that's 0 for 73 races across the board. That's what we got in 15, that's what we got in 17, that's 3 years. 14, that's not 4, that's 4 years. I said the last 3 years. So 15, 16, 17, we've been getting beat.
Thank you, Mr. Carmona. By the rules of this conversation, Mr. Simpson, you have 1 minute to rebut.
I'm glad he admitted he didn't show up at strategic review. I invited him in to bring some of his great ideas to the party. He went in one meeting and left because we wouldn't do focus groups, because that was his one answer to everything. We did spend money in that strategic review, and it had never been done before. I want to point that out. We crisscrossed this county. We had hundreds of people put into it. He provided none, but decided to run for county chair, which is his 4th office he's run for, and suddenly come up with the ideas that he couldn't bring to the actual strategic review when we asked him to submit his ideas. To talk about can't be afraid, we're crisscrossing this county all the time. For instance, we're growing a lot on the east side of the county. We have Mr. Shangbine get elected, and we have all the Republicans in Pasadena. We support them in a number of campaigns. We're working with a lot of the east side of the county. For instance, one of the new areas, we're about to open a Baytown Republican Women's Club for the first time. We're growing a lot on the east side. We're growing the Hispanic areas. He doesn't know what we actually do because he hasn't been there to see it, both in the grassroots level and the target engagement programs we have going on right now with a lot of different organizations. So as far as the ineffective use of money, I challenge Mr. Carmona to even know how we spend our money, because I'm sure he hasn't even looked at our budgeting and where it gets spent. So he doesn't know how to run an operation or raise money. He has only one donor, his campaign. So proof's in the pudding.
Yes, you 1 minute last word on this question, Mr. Carmona.
Unfortunately for the current chairman, I know exactly everything that's going on with the Hispanic engagement or the Black engagement or the Asian engagement. I follow closely as I'm still an admin to the page. Unfortunately, you can create your own opinion, but you can't create your own facts. And the fact is, we've lost every single race in 2016. We lost the critical mayor's race in 2015, and we lost every single HISD and HEC race we put our effort into in 2017. Despite what he likes to think, I've actually been very aggressive and all over the county helping other candidates, as well as doing Operation Grass is Greener, which is a huge undertaking in CD 29 to help benefit some of our congressional district candidates that we have running to take over Gene Green's seat. So despite what our current chairman would like you to think, I've been more aggressive in going to other communities throughout the county to provide true results. And when it comes to fundraising, as the co-chairman of the National Young Republican Federation, we raised nearly $1 million over the last 2 years. We participated in over 14 different congressional races across the state, and we won 13 out of those 14 where we put a digital print into. Thank you.
Question number 2, Mr. Carmona, you will begin this round. Question is, do you think it is more important or effective to have all the precinct chairs positions filled, or have active precinct chairs? And why? Is it more important to have the chairs filled, or those that are filled to be active? Mr. Carmona, 3 minutes.
I'm not a big fan of just putting warm bodies in a place, in a precinct position, just to say, oh, we have so many, X number of precinct chairs. But one thing we have to look at is over the past few years, we've chased away the passion and the soul of the party. We've been so focused on trying to hire staff, we've lost what the Republican Party was about. Activism, grassroots, the heart and soul, right? We used to make fun of the Democrats. We used to say, oh, they can only afford the paid staff. There's no volunteers want to put their time, soul, and effort into the party. We used to say, oh, they only can afford Acorn, Tops, Battleground Texas, whatever spinoff they have. That's who ran the Democrat Party. What are we doing now? We're trying to emulate them. We're trying to put person for person and out do an arms race in terms of paid staff. But in doing so, we've chased away the heart and soul. We've chased away the passion. We have a huge number of people leaving the party. Volunteers, grassroots activists. Why? Because they don't feel appreciated. Every single precinct chair is to be treated as an entrepreneur within their own precinct. Build up their business. Build up a different model. Feel appreciated. The biggest form of currency for a volunteer is appreciation. Over the last 3 years, they haven't felt appreciated. And that's what I hear over and over again. How can we get more involved? How come nobody listens to us? We get this idea, that idea, this idea. Why didn't I get more ideas at the strategic review? Because every idea I've ever given to them, ignores. Oh, we got consultants for that. What do those consultants get us? They got us swept in 2016. And we have a lot of candidates in this room tonight. And I implore you, if you don't want to get swept again in 2018, you have to take a stand. Bring the heart and soul and the passion back into this party. Reignite our activists. Reignite our grassroots. And we have to do that by making sure we have passionate people filling the role of precinct chair. Not just putting it with a warm body.
Mr. Chairman,
I think
You got a few minutes.
what's more important, it's important to have precinct chairs who are active. I was one pretty active myself for 20 years, and the reality is not everybody has the same level of energy. But you want to bring them in, and you find out not everybody has the same level of energy at the beginning, and it grows with them. So we have both. And I mean, the training programs we have are unprecedented in this county, unprecedented in the country. But our certification programs, our awards, you've been to our election worker, you see some of the events we have. We had election worker appreciation event very recently, for instance. Everybody got certificates, a huge turnout for that. We're showing appreciation rewards across the aisle and across the county as well. The one way to get folks active is to understand what it is their job. And we repeatedly make it clear. Precinct chairs can be the most influential leaders in their communities. We give them the tools to do that. We give them the data to do that. We give them the training to do that. We have many tools at their resources the parties never had before. We're constantly recruiting new precinct chairs. By the way, we have the highest number of precinct chairs we've had in 20 years right now. And we will install many more at the organizational meeting, just as we installed 45 at the organizational meeting in 2016. So we're constantly recruiting year-round, and I'm setting up task forces now to increase that recruiting. But when we talk about 2016, I mean, it's important to note, yes, Donald Trump was a phenomenon who was turned things upside down. It's an unprecedented phenomenon. But our congressional candidates got 63,000 more votes than he did. Even the district attorney got over 40,000 more votes than he did. Orange County, California went Democrat for the first time in 80 years. So it's a very strange year, but we still did better down ballot than it did at the top of the ticket because we did what we needed to do. The notion that this was done just by consultants is crazy because we have about 8 or 9 staffers. So we're not in a war with TOP or Acorn. We're all with their job, and they fully well know, to support our volunteers, and the proof's in the pudding. I have volunteers here at this event. I have volunteers at every campaign event I have. My opponent doesn't seem to be able to bring many volunteers with him. We constantly have volunteers in everything we do, and it is critical to have the grassroots. And critical again with regard to 2016, my opponent didn't support the top of the ticket in 2016. He even didn't support Republicans all the way down the ticket, and now he wants to complain because they didn't succeed. Well, it's a pot calling the kettle black here. So it's important that I've supported the ticket up and down from the top to the bottom in 2016. We'll continue to do so. I'll never give up fighting for Republicans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Carmona, you have 1 minute of rebuttal.
Yeah, absolutely. In 2012, we lost the presidential race by less than 1,000 votes and got beat by less than 3,000 on straight ticket voting. In 2016, we lost the presidential race by over 150,000 votes. From less than 1,000 to over 150,000 votes. And we got beat on straight ticket voting by more than 71,000. That doesn't look like progress to me. You know, in 2012, Paul kept saying over and over again after we lost half of Harris County, his famous quote, "That's just not good enough." Well, in 2016, I think we should remind everybody, getting swept and losing every single seat, that's just not good enough as well. Now, it's ironic that a man who ran away from Trump throughout the whole campaign as the chairman of the largest Republican Party in the country is now trying to say other people ran away from Trump. As a national officer of the Young Republican National Federation, I had a duty to actually support the whole ticket everywhere we went, up and down. You'll never find anything negative that I said in terms of not voting, don't vote for Donald Trump. It's a fallacy. What I did say was our local party had gone bankrupt because of failed leadership. And I still stand by that statement.
Regarding the bankruptcy point, but his point was the entire Republican Party was bankrupt because he was so embarrassed. He was embarrassed by Donald Trump. At the National Convention, he wouldn't even say who he would vote for president. He said he would decide on November 8th. So this is an attempt to remanufacture history. I never once made a statement against Donald Trump. I supported the entire ticket from top to bottom. That is our job as county chair. And it's important that somebody who's running for county chair not only support the ticket, but support the entire platform. And I'm the only candidate up here who's done that consistently for the last 4 years. So the other question is regarding the data. If you actually participate in strategic review, it's here. It's also available on the website. We analyzed all that data. You need to understand what actually happens before you decide how to fix it. There are a lot of people the morning after the election, they knew what had happened. They never actually looked at the numbers. I'm an engineer by background, so I know a little bit about efficiency, by the way, and building things. And one of the things we had wanted to do is look at the data and know what really happened. It's in the strategic review. I recommend you read it.
Have a pretty thorough fictional collection.
Audience, let's keep the rah-rah down a little bit so we keep our time. consistent. Mr. Simpson, you will start off this round. Question number 3 for the evening. Considering huge losses Harris County Republicans suffered in 2016, what will you, as chairman of HCRP, specifically, this is bold and underscored, specifically do differently to win in November 2018? Mr. Chairman Paul Simpson.
Again, I said 2016 was an unprecedented phenomenon across the country, and it was here in Harris County because of the numbers and the effect at the top of the ticket. We understood what was coming, by the way, with the data we have and the analysis we had. But we did it. We fought down ballot, and still did better down ballot, which the party had never done before 2014, before I came in and we revamped the way we run campaigns and got much more volunteers involved and much more effective use of our resources. That is our key, is to win down ballot. And now, 2018 is going to be a very different year from 2016 for lots of factors. We have going to presumably have a pretty stable top of the ticket: Ted Cruz, Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, Ed Emmett. And so it's going to be a very different year from 2016. But nevertheless, we have not stopped working. We were meeting with the governor's staff in December, right after Thanksgiving of 2016. We're meeting year round, working on every operation we can do on the ground and preparing for 2018 and beyond. One of the things this year-end review shows, one of the keys to this has been setting up our communications operation in-house, which now has its own studio, and we'll be working in conjunction with the entire campaign effort to do one of the things, what I call battle space preparation. We're finding areas where the Democrats are weak and starting to build the narratives. So it's got to be, we've improved our messaging. I said in the beginning, 3 things I pledged to work on were money, message, and people. The messaging is now, we have the most sophisticated messaging operation of any county party in the country, and we're going to be continuing to expand that effort. The other things we've done just more recently, again, as mentioned in strategic review and elsewhere, we're expanding our micro networking, a lot of our on-the-ground networking within the party, within different communities. It's hard for folks in Katy to get together with folks in Kingwood, so we're establishing communities of interest. We've already had some. We're going to continue that effort considerably. We are, I mentioned the recruiting task force. We'll be setting up very shortly. That is meeting with our Senate district chairs to do that. We've also started targeted engagement. So we've had a lot of grassroots engagement operations the last 3-4 years, since 2014, that we've expanded. This is where we're actually meeting with existing organizations, finding Republicans within those organizations, and having meetings with them on an ongoing basis and find ways we can integrate with them and get them, Republicans, more integrated full-time in their communities. This is an ongoing effort. We approach it the way we do a fundraising program and identifying the key individuals and go ahead and meet with them. So that's one of the things we're doing as well. There's lots more. You can look at the strategic review, and you can look at some of the year-end report as well. We are working around the clock now already with the National Party, with the Abbott campaign, even with the Cruz campaign, on meshing our plans, being as efficient as possible. I'm actually proud of the Unified campaign we had in 2016, where all of our elected officials worked together for the first time ever. And we're going to do that again in 2018, and I'm confident we're going to win the entire county in 2018.
The challenge, Mr. Carmona, 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, first thing I do different than what was done in 2016 is I listen to the candidates and elected officials. You know, the candidates, especially the judicial candidates, raised so many concerns, time after time, throughout all these meetings they had. And each time, every recommendation, every idea was dismissed. And that's been the habit of late. It's not his idea, our consultant's idea, it just gets dismissed. You know, we can't have that again. We have to make sure that it's our part. Everybody's including the candidates and elected officials. They're the ones who put the time, toil, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into their campaign. And they have to be the ones that actually have some input in what goes on with the branding, with the messaging, and with the operation. So that's one of the biggest things. And one thing to note is, you know, the technology hasn't changed from 2016 to right now in terms of what's available. In 2016, we had the capability to micro-target. We had the data sets. We had nanotechnology. We had all of that. It was a refusal to use the technology available to benefit the candidates. Why would we say that something's going to change now? You know, Paul Simpson was a surgeon and he did 50 surgeries and he lost 50 patients. Would you want him doing your surgery? Probably not. Same thing with the elections. 2016, we lost everything. Candidates, people who support the candidates, who donate, put time behind those candidates. You deserve a party and you deserve an infrastructure that's going to produce results. It's going to produce wins. You know, 2018, is going to be a critical moment for Harris County. You know, if we don't hold the line in 2018, if we don't fight back, if we don't regain our seats, if we don't show up, we're going to lose again in 2020. And there'll never be a Republican Party in Harris County again. We have no relevance. Without Harris County, the state's compromised. And if we lose the state of Texas, we won't see another Republican president in our lifetime. That's how serious this election is. We have to have forward thinking. We can't have same recycled ideas. The Harris County Republican Party should be a party that's the ultimate resource for anybody across the county who wants to be involved in civic engagement at any type of level. Not an organization that picks and chooses winners and picks and chooses who gets to be involved. It's not what we're about. We're about growing the party together, about growing this county together. And the only way we're going to do that is if I'm the chairman. We can't look back. We have to keep looking forward. But we can't use the same recycled or failed ideas we had in 2016. We can't keep blaming it on Trump. Trump's going to be the president this year. He's not going to get impeached or removed anytime. He's going to be the president again in 2020. Are we going to keep running away from Trump and saying, Trump's the president, we can't win because Trump's the president? No, we adapt. We accept what we have, we work with it, and we produce results. And that's one thing I'll do. The buck stops with me. I don't make excuses. We provide results.
The incumbent, 1 minute.
What was his response?
Yes, sir.
Great, thanks. Couldn't remember, losing track. There's a lot of hearsay in everything he said. As a lawyer, he should know the invalidity of hearsay. I just disagree with some of his claims he's made about what he hears happened. And just is not true. There's an interesting thing when he talks about nanotechnology, which is really something that doesn't exist. We actually I brought in 3 years ago folks from the RNC and the national data folks. So we've actually had a contract with this. These are the best data analysis people in the Republican world. And we have Ben McFall here, who is the data manager for the Abbott campaign. The RPT is our executive director. Nobody knows data and has data in the Harris County Republican Party. What he doesn't understand is when he talks about nanotechnology and numbers, it doesn't exist due to cost. Number one, the RNC has it, costs millions of dollars, and then there are licensing issues. So we have everything that is possible that we can have available. We use it to the best effect. And I don't know what the picking and choosing is, but I'll hold my fundraising up against to his any day too. He made a comment on fundraising, so the proof's in the pudding.
Last argument for this round, Mr. Carmona, 1 minute.
Yeah, again, apparently that's where we see a difference. You know, we have a leader who doesn't understand true technology and what nanotechnology is, and just right here is his refusal to admit that it exists and how we can micro-target based off of that. And this is coming from the RNC. I met with the RNC back in October, went through everything when it came to the technology operations. For them to refuse that we have this technology and this capability to influence elections, it's just not right. Again, if we want to have those failed vision and the failed position that we can't utilize all of our tools, you know, we're going to lose again. And you know, when we say that he provides, or the admin has provided all the tools necessary to be successful in 2016, it's amazing because in 2016 we had two African American candidates, Clyde Luchtag and Kevin Simpson, running. They asked for a data set of a particular demographic. They were told no, they can't have it because we don't want to bring those people out to vote. That's our party.
Can I chime in there?
You're casting aspersions on
Yeah,
Nathan.
they were asking me for a list of Democrat voters to vote by mail.
Excuse me, sir. You're out of order.
Okay.
Last question for this round, Mr. Carmona, and you'll be opening with 3 minutes. The question is, the Clear Lake, Pasadena, and surrounding areas, this portion of the county, have been overlooked for a number of years. The only support given to precinct chairs and candidates has been from local political organizations. With quite a few Clear Lake precincts flipping from red to blue in 2016, as the chairman of the HCRP, what will change in these areas, specifically talking about this part of town, Mr. Carmona, and I'm thinking anything east of I-45 all the way up?
You know, I've said it before, but we have to show up. And showing up isn't doing helicopter campaigning. You drop in, drop out when it's election season. It's actually putting down roots. We need to become a fabric of the community. You know, utilizing the resources and the people that we have in this area. Lean on them. Keith Nelson, one of the strongest people in this area. Mike Robertson, Bianca, our city council members. We have to make sure we're utilizing the resources that we have. Harness that passion. Get them involved. Get them engaged. I'll never pretend to know every single answer, but I'll always admit when I don't know something. I'm not too proud to admit that. There's a lot in this world I still haven't developed and I still haven't learned. I'm only 36 years old. He has me beat there, I'm sorry. But it's something we all have to admit.
Younger?
No. Not yet. But we have to admit when we don't know things. We have to admit when other people know things that can benefit us. Don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid to share ideas and exchange ideas. You know, one thing I will say is that ever since this campaign's launched, I've seen an aggressive improvement of things and ideas coming from the HCRP. And I'd like to think that I had something to do with it, and I probably did, because there's been a flurry of activity. But when it comes to digital imprints around the county, you can take our opponent's social media, you can take HCRP's social media, you can take the comms director's social media, and you can match them all against mine. And I outperformed every single one of them combined. And that's a fact. And that just shows the type of reach I have, the audience I have, and the impact I can have in this county. And that's what it's going to take, is having the impact, having those relationships, and making sure that we're utilizing our resources and we're building on that. Like I said before, you know, our precinct chairs are one of our most valuable assets. Why waste them? Why act like we know better than them? These are your neighbors, your community empowerment people. Block to block, street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood. They know what's best. It's not a top-down operation. No, you tell me. Tell me what works. Tell the SD chair. Filter it up. Build on what works, the successes, and emulate that model in other areas of the county where we can do better. If we're going to be successful in this county, we got to get out of this selfish attitude and thinking it's only me, only I have the ideas, only I can do right. We have to make sure we admit when other people have better ideas than us and follow through on that.
Mr. Chairman, the east side of I-45, what do we do about stopping the
This has been a big target of ours, particularly since 2016, but even before that. One of the things I've done every year, because I come from the grassroots, I was a precinct chair for 20 years. I've been a grassroots activist all my life. I don't get a dime out of this job. It costs me a lot of money, but I do it for the passion. And I believe it into the grassroots, at the grassroots level is critical. So one of the things I've done since the beginning, since I first got in office, is take trips around the county, meet with my precinct chairs. Kelly Horsey, I've been at her house. Who else's house? I met with Evan Norton many times. A bunch of you around. I've been at the Robertsons' home. I'm meeting with precinct chairs around the county on a regular basis to get to know their community, what we can do to help them. And we do get their ideas in. That's what the strategic review is about. Again, I recommend you read it because it was a bottom-up process. We had hundreds of people provide input to exactly what they thought the party should be doing. And one of the things it covers a lot of things you mentioned. The other thing that you said wanted to be done. Another thing was the whole east side of the county has been a big focus. And as I mentioned, next week we're starting the Baytown Republican Women's Club. That's been a project of the parties. Actually go out and recruiting them, build that group, and we're working with the state Texas Federation of Republican Women, the Greater Houston Council Federation of Republican Women on that event next week, along with the local mayors. So I'm working with the Baytown Mayor and the Baytown City Council. I'm happy to say, by the way, Mayor Jeff Wagner of Pasadena has endorsed me because we've gotten so much involved here in Pasadena in the elections. So this past year, one of the great successes we had was get involved in the elections in Pasadena, Humboldt, Pasadena ISD, Humboldt ISD, Pearland, and make a huge difference in all of those elections. Because we got involved with the local races, with the campaigns, through our staff, figured out a way that we can get volunteers plugged into those as well. So we've actually put boots on the ground, resources into those elections. Because the Democrats started this some years ago, there's something called Project LIFT that they have, called the Local Investment in the Future of Texas. They decided to get into nonpartisan elections. We're not going to leave this up to them. We're fighting them in every nook and cranny of Harris County, which is what I pledged to do 4 years ago. So again, we're involved in Pasadena. The mayor of I'm sorry, just went blank. Deer Park has endorsed me as well. So because we're plugged in on the east side of the county so much, increasingly doing that. So we know it's critical. And again, I think this is a lot of the electorate. When you look at what happened in 2016, a lot of voters came out and supported Donald Trump, who had been traditional, sort of the Reagan Democrats, who had not been voting Republican. That's a great opportunity there for us. This is a national phenomenon. We're taking advantage of it here as well. And so we continue to support the grassroots operations. Another thing I might mention is just being on the ground. That's why we have a Clear Lake headquarters. Until I came in office, the party had never had more than one office year-round around the county. We now have a full-time staff headquarters in Clear Lake to support the grassroots, and that's what it's there for. It's not to be an acorn or top-type organization. If you actually went to one of the headquarters, you'd see what it's like. And as we bring volunteers in, do phone banking, do everything else that we have to do to reach our voters. So we're supporting them year-round on the east side of the county.
1 minute, Mr. Carmona. The diversity on the east side of I-45, how do we win?
Yeah, going back to the strategic review, I mean, if we look at it, it's all things we said from the beginning, and we warned that if we didn't do true focus groups, we didn't reach out and do actual investment into this process and undertaking, we were going to get echo chamber results. And if you look through that packet that he keeps slapping up, you'll see echo chamber results that were predicted before the initiative even took place. Going back to Operation Grass is Greener, we've been spending the last 2 or 3 years working on different ways to really tap into Congressional District 29 and how we can actually get a Republican elected in the next 4 to 6 years, if not sooner. I think that's a huge undertaking that really takes a lot of effort, but it goes back to being a presence in CD29, a presence in the East End, president of the East Side. We have to be just more than just helicopter campaigning. Everybody have a cell phone? This is your regional satellite office. When I say demographics changing, I just don't mean, skin color. I also mean, mindsets, the way people think, younger generation. People aren't always going to want to run to a physical brick and mortar position of a place to do things. Phone banking, sometimes it's inefficient because we have wrong or outdated lists. One thing with the technology or with information, if you didn't get it personally from that person, it's wrong. It's not valuable. So we have to make sure we're actually utilizing the technology we have. These could be more and more satellite offices all over the county, utilizing this to make sure that we have results in 2018 and beyond.
Thank you, Mr. Carmona. I had a little bit of a hiccup there on the timekeeping, and thanks for staying within those parameters. We do have a couple of questions. I beg your pardon, Mr. Chairman, yes, you did.
One minute response. Thank you. Again, I would encourage Chris. Bob Hall is the guy right there. He can teach you all about how the technology we're using, how we're using the phones, how we phone bank with phones now. We can phone from home. We've made the technology available across the county. We're not tied to those offices. You still need a physical place to go to, but we actually get out everywhere. My campaign will demonstrate this as well. We don't need to be in one place. We believe we take all of the above when it comes to getting our message out. You'll find out when you really get into it, ask Ben McFall, he's an expert in this stuff, that digital is not everything. Digital is part of the package. If you, by the way, take a look at the year-end report we did. We've done an analysis of how people get information and how we get information to them. We're still in an all of the above stage, so we still have to do some mail. We still have to do radio. We still have to do digital, but we do all of the above as sophisticated as anybody in this country does, I promise you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. We have a couple of questions from you, the audience, that were submitted tonight. And Senator Robinson handed those questions to me, and I'll be happy to read them to the candidates. Chairman Simpson, you'll be number one. Since Harris County is the largest metropolitan in the Gulf Coast area, what, if any, plans do the HCRP have to work with surrounding counties on state races, such as the Texas Supreme Court? Mr. Simpson, 3 minutes, please.
It's even a broader question than that. Before I became, in 2014, I went to the state convention and I joined up with I became a member of the Texas Republican County Chairs Association, and they said, great, Harris County is now a member. We had never been plugged in with that before. So I work closely with the Gulf Coast region, the TRCCA, with our other county chairs around the state. I know quite a few of them very well, have been involved with them in a number of projects. And we continue to get the party plugged into that statewide effort. We also have a regional effort, the southeast part of the state as well. Now, to some degree, though, Harris County problems are unique, and our challenges aren't the same as over in Orange, or in Hardin County. But we still have areas of common interest. We work together on that. More importantly, is the local nearby counties. Before I became county chair, we'd never worked with the adjacent, to my knowledge, never worked with the adjacent county parties on anything. So, for instance, I got involved with work with Montgomery County. Dr. Wiley Wilkinson's been county chair up there for a long time. I know Dr. Wiley well. We've worked in some activities up on the north part of the county where we overlap. Again, we share a state senator, and we share congressmen, so we work together on a number of those efforts. Maximizing and making our efforts as efficient as possible. Again, I'm a recovering engineer. Efficiency is real important to me. We don't have wasted resources. Same thing on the west side of the county. In 2014, for the first time, we worked with Fort Bend County. The Fort Bend County Chair and I worked together with our operations, set up a full-time joint headquarters out there. We're now working together on planning a full-time office out in Katy. Right now, it'll probably be staff of volunteers, but from both sides. So we're working closely with the clubs out in the west side and actively working with the Fort Bend County. And lastly, Brazoria County too. We've done some operations with Yvonne Dewey and her group there, and particularly got involved in Pearland, which is only a sliver. Angelina Goodens here, she was our only precinct chair, I believe, in Pearland. We have just a few precincts. She's a judge now, so I think we need a replacement. But we got involved with Pearland because most of it's in Brazoria. So we work with campaigns and candidates in Brazoria County as well. So we've been doing this to work on an area-wide basis, recognizing that a lot of our activities and interests don't end at the county line, and we have folks in adjacent counties. If we work together, maximize our efforts, we can make a bigger impact.
Alliance is Mr. Carmona, 3 minutes.
Can you repeat the whole question?
Sure, absolutely. Since Harris County is the largest metropolitan in the Gulf Coast area, what, if any, plans do the HCRP, or what you would develop, have to work with surrounding counties on statewide races, such as the Texas Supreme Court? 3 minutes, Mr. Carmona.
I thought that's what the question was. Yeah, I mean, it's imperative that we have these coalitions with other counties across, our region and our area. I mean, I think we see that most particularly not just with Supreme Court races, but with the Court of Appeals. I mean, those appellate, benches are far stretching, and they hit the neighboring counties. In order to protect our candidates, we carry a lot of weight in Harris County, but we have to make sure that there's no stragglers behind, and that we have a strong ticket and a strong presence for those judicial candidates, because it does have an impact. I mean, like I said, I've never said that Paul Simpson has done single thing in the last 3 years totally wrong. I mean, there's things that have been done that have improved the party, but we need to make sure we take what has worked and improve on those and grow on those. And if he's laid the groundwork for the relationships with other counties, we want to make sure we grow on that and we build on that. But it's critical that we actually put our skin in the game as well, and we hold our own. We can't have Fort Bend and Montgomery County winning across the board, but then yet Harris County loses across the board. It makes us look like a weak link. So we have to pick up our slack and make sure we're providing results. If we're going to have joint efforts, we don't want to look like the weak link. We're the largest county out of the region, and we have to act like it. We have to set the example. We need to be the leaders. We need to set be the gold standard. We shouldn't be the followers. But we should, again, it's about, same thing with campaigning, the exchange of ideas, coming together to collaborate to make sure we're putting the best product forward for the Republican brand. And I think as the next chairman, we'll be able to do that and continue the efforts that have already been put in place and exist to make sure we even have a stronger relationship going forward.
Proof's in the pudding. I bet he doesn't know who the county chairs. Maybe you know who they are, but I will say that Wally Wilkerson, County Chair of Montgomery County's endorsed my reelection, as has Jacinto, the County Chair of Fort Bend County. There's a reason they've endorsed to support my reelection, because they know I actually deliver, and I'm not just talking in the abstract. So we've done real things on the ground together, and we'll continue to do so, continue to expand those efforts going forward, and I appreciate their support as well. Thank you.
Chris.
I agree. He can deliver us a sweep in the elections, and we'll lose every single race again. So we want to avoid that. Again, we got to make sure we have change in leadership. To sit there and say, I don't know who Dr. Wally is, and I don't know who JC is, and not only is it wrong, it's insulting, because he knows for a fact that I've actually done work with both of those people, those individuals in the past. It's nonsense.
Second question coming from the audience. This time, Chris, we will begin. How can we most effectively involve people in quote-unquote politics? Influencing legislation, promoting candidates, building the infrastructure that you're speaking about. The question seems to deal with involving and muscling up the grassroots. Mr. Carmona, you have 3 minutes on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing is you have to have something for people to look forward to. You have to give them an idea, a concept, something for them to attach themselves to. They get emotionally involved. And winning breeds more winning. And discipline breeds success. But when we have failed ideas, failed leadership, time and time again, that turns people off. People like to be associated with winners, not with just losing over and over again. And I think that's one of the biggest changes we have to do as a party is reignite what the Republican Party is. You know, unfortunately, we live in a day and age and a time to where everybody's a what can you do for me type of person or an attitude. It's what can you do for me now? What can the Harris County Republican Party do for me? If you did a sample of 1,000 people across the county and asked you, who was the Harris County Republican Party chairman or what does the Harris County Republican Party do? We'll have maybe 1% who will be able to give you an answer. Why is that? Because we don't have a presence. We have a party, and everyone who's involved in politics understands what we are, but outside of the party, we have no mechanism that we've put out there to really get people engaged. One thing I started doing when I was involved with the Young Republicans was encouraging more young people to run for office. Because when you have young people running for office, they bring a whole different dynamic of people who are engaged, who want to get involved in campaign. They've never seen a campaign in their life, but now they're pushing out push cards, they're holding up signs, they're wearing shirts, they're going to forums because their friend asked them to. And then they get a passion for campaigns. They get a passion for politics. They get a passion to see change within their communities. But it starts with recruiting people to run for office. Now, it's funny, recently we said that Harris County has the most diverse party this election that we've ever had. But that wasn't at any doing of the current chairman. There wasn't a single candidate that had been recruited in 15, 16, or 17. We have to make sure we're recruiting people, getting people involved to run races. That's not picking winners and losers, it's getting people excited. Go out there. If you want to change your community, you want to change your neighborhood, you want to change this party, show up, be involved, be excited about it. Bring friends. When we talk about getting away from technology and good old retail politics, it all starts with putting your people in front of you that trust you the most and get them involved in the process. And that's one thing we'll commit to do, and is continue to do that, is get people committed to the process, get them involved, and get them energized to be a part of this party.
Chairman Simpson.
What's the question? How to get people involved in politics?
Especially when it comes to influencing legislation, promoting candidates. I think Chris expanded it out to even recruiting candidates.
Sure. Thank you. Good question. I've spent my life recruiting people into politics. It is the hardest job in politics is to actually recruit volunteers. It's one thing to say in the abstract with some great idea that you think is going to work. I've actually done it. I think my campaigns have shown that. I have massive volunteer operations, our campaigns. The party has built a database of 2,000 volunteers over the last 3 years who get involved in all levels of the party across this county. So we've expanded that volunteer base tremendously because we are a party that is built on volunteers. We can't function without volunteers. This skeleton staff we have is there to support the volunteers. So that is critical to everything we do. One of the things we've done to expand that involvement in politics, for instance, we created the first ever Harris County Leadership Council. It is now in its 3rd class. It is designed to, it's kind of patterned after sort of the Leadership Houston type of school where they go in one day a month for 7 months, and then we're going to expand the placement program. But young people come in under the age of 39 or so. I know I couldn't qualify. But they come in and they get broad training in large aspects of politics, from policy to finance, to fundraising, to activism, to running for office. And then we're working now on placing them into everything from elected officials' offices, maybe policy foundations. Actually, we put this into practice. Actually finding people, getting them involved, and plugging them into the process, particularly the younger people, to do that so we can keep growing that farm team. So it's not just in the abstract, we've actually done that on the ground. We'll continue to do that. And in addition, is growing, as I mentioned, more people involved as activists. Again, this last year, we had half of our new precinct chairs were under the age of 40. So I think we're showing that we're actually bringing a lot of new people into the party, a lot of youth, and a lot of energy, and then giving them the tools and ways to get involved. Legislation being one of them. We obviously, the party has committees that get very much involved. We have a ballot security committee that has reached the point that, for instance, headed by Alan Vera, whom I brought in 2014 to head our operations, the state legislature now listens to what we tell them on how we advise them on electoral matters when it comes to election legislation. So through our committees, through our grassroots operations, we're always influencing legislation as well. So, but it's an ongoing effort to get more people involved, and I'm proud of my track record of doing that. I will continue to do that because I'm a volunteer. And pretty much everybody here is. So we need to get more folks involved at all levels. I will continue to do that.
1 minute on this one, Mr. Carmona.
Yeah, as it relates to legislation, that's one of the biggest avenues, other than, having your friends come out to see candidacy, to get people involved. Someone always has something they're irritated with, they're annoyed with, whether it's property tax, whether it's a consumption tax, whether it's because you can't sell liquor on Sundays, whatever it may be, people get upset about something. So you rally behind that. You ask them, well, why don't you, write your legislator? Why don't you get involved in the process? And I can say with the Texas Young Republican Federation, it's an initiative we started a couple of years ago, is having legislative day to get more young people involved in the process of legislation. It was a successful model, and we actually started emulating that at a national level to get people to go to Congress. So not outside of your state, but outside of national level, we have more younger people now getting involved in the national or in legislation across the country than we ever have, all because we find issues and points that people can gather, collect, come to a consensus, and be passionate about something where they want to get involved in the process. And that's all it is. It's marketing tools. Go out there, find what pushes people, rally them in, and drag them to the legislature.
I think we have time for one more question.
Did you get a minute response? Each had it.
Yes.
Okay. Just quick response. One was a comment about the media. It's not the job of the county chair, and I think it's a mistake of the county chair's view that he or she has to be on the media all the time. You can look through our year-end report. I go to TV stations and talk to radio stations as much as they want me to, but we're also pushing other people out there to do it as well. Victor Sanchez, one of our young folks, is going to be with CNN this week, engaging in a very different way because he's a better face for getting our message out, particularly regarding Hispanic support of Donald Trump. So I'm not always the best person to do that. I'm happy to do it, but I don't have an ego so wrapped up in this that I've got to be in front of the TV camera all the time. So related to that, he acknowledges the fact we have a very diverse candidate field, but then said it's nothing to do with the county chair, but wants to blame me for things he thinks went wrong. So clearly we're doing something right, and it's from across all spectrums of the party. We're making it more welcome and open for lots more people to engage with the party and to run as our candidates, and I'm very proud of that result.
We have time for just one more question, then we'll have the closing statements from each candidate. From questions from the organizers of the event, what is your opinion of the Rule 44 censure enacted by numerous county parties and how it was upheld by the SRUC? Chairman Simpson, you opened this last
Are you talking about the Strauss censure? The one that was the one upheld.
Yeah, Rule 44 in general, and if you'd like to comment specifically on what the SRE.
Well, I know where you stand on this, Claver, so, because you love to beat up on Republicans. I would love to see you beat up on Democrats someday. It would be nice. So
I don't beat up on Republicans, Mr. Chairman. I beat up on rhinos.
Okay. So the censure, I don't know what it achieved. I think it's be very clear. I'm glad Joe Strauss is not going to be our speaker again. I'm glad he's going to be out of the House, and I think we're going to get much better legislation through the House and through the legislature in the future as a result. As far as the censure itself, I had a little exchange the other day with James Dickey because he was explaining his vote on that. He said, would you rather it be somebody who's actually running for office? And that's key. The Rule 44 censure is a process where you can only, that home county can create it, goes on up. One thing it does, it says if that censured candidate does not, it survives, let's say survives a primary, you cannot support that candidate in the general election. So you could not say vote straight ticket in that district. The rule needs to be amended somehow, it needs to be fixed, because I don't believe in political suicide. I congratulated James Dickey for recognizing that as well. So other than that, I'm glad Joe Strauss won't be our speaker again.
Your thoughts on Rule 44?
Absolutely. I think it was a tool that was created by the SRC, or actually for the body at the convention, to be used in the most serious of circumstances. I think when the body put that in effect, they knew exactly what they were doing, and there was a purpose behind it. I think when we imagine what a true administrator of the process does, is they don't create a hindrance to the voice of the grassroots. So stopping the process at a local level or a state level would be tantamount would be the comparable to what Joe Strauss had done throughout his term as Speaker of the House, where he would kill legislation, he would not let bills go through. So killing it at a local level and threatening to walk away as the chairman of the Harris County Republican Party if someone carried forward with a Rule 44 is abhorrible, inexcusable, and just unfathomable.
Respond?
Yes, sir.
That's false. That's not what I did. There was obviously a proposed censure here in Harris County. If the party leadership had voted on it, would have gone down 11-2. The sponsor told me they were pulling it because it didn't have the support. I didn't block it at all. I didn't even lobby. The people I lobbied were the other side to encourage them to see the bigger picture, because I don't believe in political suicide. But it was always free to be brought up by the body, and there was, I won't name names, but there were a lot of other people in the Republican Party who were persuasive to say it should not happen. And it didn't, and now I think the primary voters should decide, and that's what the primaries are for. So I didn't block anything. If you read our rules, take a look at them sometime. I don't have the ability to block anything.
Threatening to walk off the job if a motion is carried forward would be equivalent to blocking. Again, I don't think it's proper for a chairman to stifle grassroots. A person who's part of the executive committee feels it's necessary to bring a motion forward, let the debate happen, vote yes, vote no, up or down, we move forward with the result. We live with the results of elections, we live with the results of motions all the time. We unify around them, we bring people together afterwards for the betterment of the party. But we don't shut debate down. That's what differentiates us from the Democrats, or it should differentiate us, is we like to be transparent. We campaign on transparency. Unfortunately, we don't live up to those representations when we do things like that.
False. That's just false.
Chairman Simpson.
True. Well, you weren't there, so you don't know.
Chairman Simpson, I think Mr. Carmona began with opening statements. Would you like to begin closing statements?
No, then he ought to begin with the closing. No, that's the way the trial works.
Are we going to do rock, paper, scissors again?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Let's go. Rock, paper, scissors. 1, 2, 3.
Wait, what's the
Come on, push that rhythm, Chris. 1, 2, 3.
Paper beats rock, right?
Chris,
Yeah, I'm ready to play. Again, my name is Chris Carmona. I'm running to be the next chairman of the Harris County Republican Party. I ask for your vote. I ask for your support. I think my track record as a professional, as an attorney, as a political activist speaks for itself. Where I go, success, results follow. You know, I've not just done this in the political arena, but I've done this outside of politics. Operation Grass is Greener wasn't something that was done through a party function. It wasn't done through an organization. It was done with a group of people that actually want to see things change in Congressional District 29. It's a forward-thinking model that we have to have going forward if we want to be successful across the county. We can throw data points and charts and graphs all over the place, but one thing that keeps coming brought up over and over throughout the night was proof's in the pudding, right? Well, in 2016, we tasted that pudding and it was 0 for 73 or 0 for 50 or 0 for 60, whatever the number was. It resulted in not a single victory across the county. 2017, same thing. When HISD is under scandal, HEC abrupted scandal, what did we do? Did we fight back? Did we try to get people, our Republicans, our conservatives elected? No. We complained that the Democrats spent $150,000, yet as a party we only put $1,500 of resources into those campaigns to try to help conservatives get elected at the local school board level or HEC level. We can't continue like that. We can't continue losing. It's time to win again. And we're only going to be able to win with forward thinking and a true and tested type of plan and processes. I'm the only one who has operations management experience in this race. And when we talk about big ideas and how to implement them, I've done it everywhere I've been. I've done it in Landry's and I've done it in Continental. You know, if I was able to, you know, as an operations manager for Continental Airlines and a corporate manager for Continental Airlines, I was able to save $4.2 billion, all at the same time of going to law school at night and raising a family. Think about that. Just imagine what I can do as the chairman of the Harris County Republican Party. Thank you for your support. Thank you for coming out tonight. If you don't want to ask questions tonight, you can always go to chriscarmona.com. But again, I appreciate you showing up tonight, and I appreciate your support, and ask you to tell your friends and your family, everybody in Harris County, that if we want to win again, they like Chris Carmona. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. You know, slogans are easy. Doing is hard. Actions speak louder than words. We've accomplished a lot of great things. My opponent doesn't even know what we did in 2017. He ignores Bill King's tremendous amount of gratitude for what we did in 2015, helping expand the Republicans on the City Council in Houston. You know, Rome isn't built in a day. We're not going to retake every part of Harris County that the Democrats have won for so many years. But we've made huge gains, and we're going to continue to win. And 2014 again was the best year we'd ever had, and 2016 was even a better run election. We had a candidate training school a while back that we brought the Leadership Institute in, and one of the folks there said something really great. He said, you know, just because you win an election doesn't mean you did everything right. Just because you lost an election doesn't mean you did everything wrong. So there are a lot of factors that we can't control. So I'm not making excuses. 2016 was a phenomenon. But I think we did an incredible amount of things very right, and I'm very proud of what we did. The most important thing is what are we doing to win in the future, to win in 2018 and beyond. And I've laid some of those out here tonight. We have a lot more that we're going to be doing, and we can't turn back now. My opponent, again, the proof's in the pudding. My opponent talks about raising money. He criticized the amount of money that he thinks was spent on HCC, HCC elections. It's more money than he's raised in his campaign. And he's had one donor who's an elected official. I've had a broad base of donors and activists and volunteers involved in my campaigns, involved in the party, constantly growing this effort. And that's what we've got to continue to do. And I look forward to continuing to do that. You can't be elected simply because you're endorsed by 3 slates. That's not the way to build a party. I believe in a broad-based effort of volunteers, activists, donors, and folks who come together to build a coalition. And that's what I'm continuing to do. I'm not going to rely on 3 power brokers to put me in office. That's not the way to. That's not someone you want to be elected as county chair. So if I'm not reelected, we're going to go back to the days of a broke party shrinking, controlled by a handful of power brokers. I want to make a few comments too. I'm the only candidate in this race who has not run for 3 other offices and lost. All I run for is county chair. I'm the only candidate in this race who's pledged, by the way, not to take any paid appointments from any county official, including judges. And I've lived up to that pledge now, ever since I came into office. I'm the only candidate who's consistently supported the Republican Party platform since 2014. I'm the only candidate who supported the entire ticket in 2016 from top to bottom. I'm the only candidate who did not turn and run in October 2016, declaring the Republican Party bankrupt. I'm also the only candidate, for that matter, who hasn't praised the Sierra Club or hasn't criticized us before. I've support our platform, support our candidates, and I will never give up doing that. I'm endorsed by a broad coalition of over 200 precinct chairs, again, the priest in the pudding, the activists who support me and our campaign. We have a lot of work to do. I look forward to being able to continue to work with you all. I'm fully confident in 2018 we continue the innovation and hard work that all the dedicated folks in this party are doing, that once again Harris County, as in 2014, will elect Greg Abbott, Ted Cruz, Dan Patrick, Ed Emmett, and the entire slate of Republican judges. Thank you very much, for your support.
One last piece of business on behalf of the organization. You guys were very generous and candid with your answers tonight, but the organization says that there are other questions from their members that they would like to submit to you, perhaps via email, and they would like to know if you would commit to answering those questions to the best of your ability and submitting.
Absolutely. Sure.
What these gentlemen have done is admirable. They've put their names on the ballot and have willingly entered into the bloody ring of politics. They need to be commended for that. Would you please give them your gratitude for the gratitude for the organizers of this event as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for just your participation, your attendance. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for being a Saint Patriot. Good night. Please drive home safely.
Again, I'll bet.